Hi everyone, welcome to this Tech Pop, where today we're going to go through an overview of some of the main features of Google Classroom. Google Classrooms is Google's online web application for teachers to manage their classroom's assignments and announcements to students. You can access it by in the Omni bar typing in classroom.google.com. It'll take you where you can see who you're logged in as and what role you want to be, student or teacher. If you're a teacher, please click teacher, because if you do click student, it is something that the IT will have to fix later, as you will not be able to switch your role back to a teacher. You will then be greeted with a dashboard in which at the top there'll be a plus for you to create your first class. When you create that class, it will ask for a name and a section. While the section is optional, the name is mandatory. So go ahead and type a name in that particular section and then go ahead and hit create. Once that class is created, you will be taken to that class stream with your name, the teacher, and you can even change the background by changing the theme or uploading a new photo. There are three sections: a stream, students, and about. In the stream, we'll have announcements, assignments, and discussion questions all listed there. In the sidebar, there's stream settings and a class code, which you can give your students so that they can log on in the mobile device apps or on the computer, also in Classroom. In a student's view, when they click that plus, it will automatically let them join a classroom and they have to type in that class code. And once they do, then they can go ahead and hit to join, and they will be greeted in that same classroom, except the only difference is they will not have those settings on the left. So back in the teacher view, we can then see that our teacher name is right below our name, and if we go to the student section, we can see all students currently enrolled in this class. We can manually invite students as well, and what that does is I can go into the directory, find them by their first name, last name, or email, and then manually invite them so that they don't have to put in the class code. I also have my student permissions of whether they can post or comment in the stream or if only teachers can, and if I want to disable the class code or reset it to make a brand new one. The About section has a location for me to describe the class itself. This is completely optional, but I can put in a name as well as information about the class and what room it's in. Here I'll also see where the Google Drive folder and the calendar that is now linked with Google Classroom for this particular class as well. I can go ahead and save all that information, and then below that I can also see that there's add materials. If I click on the Google Drive link, it will take me to the folder in Google Drive, and what Google will do is they'll make a classroom folder, and in that classroom folder we'll have a folder for each class, which all the files that you upload will go there. In the Google Calendar that is linked with Google Classroom, clicking on that link will take you to Google Calendars, and because you're the owner of that classroom, you'll be able to see that calendar under My Calendars, and you can add events either in Google Calendars or in Google Classroom. The Add Materials section, this is where I can place things like syllabuses, data booklets, or notes. If I click on there, I can go ahead, give it a title, and then there's icons in the left which I can either add files from Google Drive or upload them directly from my computer. So here I go ahead and add a syllabus, and now I can post this to the About section, and now that file is here for students to be able to find. Going back up to the stream, I also want to talk about the different things I can do in the stream. If I click on the plus in the bottom right, I can create an announcement. This announcement will then appear on the top of my stream, and I can here just go ahead and say welcome to this Google Classroom class. And also, just like in the add material section, I can add files, I can add a YouTube clip or even a link for students to be able to view as well. I can discard this particular announcement if I don't like it, and the draft is automatically saved on the top draft section, so I don't have to post this right away. I can then first type it up, and then when I want to post it, click on it again in drafts and then post. There's a save draft section also in the menu beside the post button, but if I want to post, I just hit post, and then students will be notified about this immediately, hit post, and I'm good to go. I do have the option to add class comments to that particular post, but if I turned it off for my students, they will not. Next is creating an assignment. It's very similar to creating an announcement, except it does give additional features for the assignment process. So here again, I am adding in the name as well as description for my assignment, but right below that, you'll also see that there is a due date that I can select. So in that particular drop-down menu, I can choose what date, I can even choose what time it is going to be due, and Google will then track when students submit their assignments based on that particular due date. The new feature is that we can also turn off a due date, so this could be in a long-term assignment or one that is formative instead of summative. Once again, I can go ahead and add a file either through Google Drive or directly by uploading. And here, if I add from Google Drive, I have several options of how to distribute it to my students. They can either view the one file, edit the one file, or I can make a copy for each individual student so all of them can have their own copy for them to write on, and then I can assess them all individually. There's also YouTube links as well as other web page links, so you can add multiple items to a particular assignment for them to go look at and then fill out all that information, and then from there then you can see all that grouped together in the classroom folder in your Google Drive as well as access them here. I can now go ahead and assign, and just like with the announcement, I could save this as a draft as well. I go ahead and assign it. Once again, it's going to appear in the stream of the classroom. In the top right corner, it says the due date and how many people have it done versus not done. That is what I as the teacher get to see, and then I can keep track of that, and then the announcement has now bumped down. If I still want the announcement at the top, there's a menu in the top right with the ellipsis, and there is move to the top, which I just did. The final thing I can do is I can create a question. This is more for humanities, where you may want to ask a question to the class and have everyone reply to it right away. This isn't like a poll where people can vote for anything. You just ask a question, it appears in the stream, and all the students will have an opportunity to answer it. So this is one of the new features of 2015 of Google Classroom, this ability to just ask a simple question on the stream and have all the students immediately go to their Google Classroom on a Chromebook, on a laptop, on their mobile device and answer it, and then you can see the immediate responses. So we'll go ahead and now ask this particular question. It is like an assignment where I can assign a due date if necessary, and I'll just go ahead and ask that. And I can see whether or not the students can see each other's answers or not, and whether they have a chance to edit their answers after they submit it. We go ahead and hit ask, and that is yet another thing that will appear at the top of the stream. You'll notice announcements move down once again, so if I want to keep that at the top, I need to move it to the top once more. Furthermore, if you have multiple classes and you have posts that you want to reuse, you do have that option to reuse a post as well. Going to the student view of some of the things that we just did, I'm just going to go ahead and refresh my screen in the student view so that we can see those changes and what the students themselves will see. So it does go in the same order at which the teacher has posted. So the very first thing that we see is the questions. On the left sidebar, we even see assignments that are due. They can click on that link and they'll see a list from all their Google Classrooms, what assignments that they have to do. They can choose to change classes to just see one class or all of them and be able to see what's coming up. So we just saw the discussion, the announcement, and here is the assignment at the very bottom. Because of the way that we ended up ordering our stream, it just ended up at the very bottom. Students then have an option in the ask to answer the question right on the stream. So they can go ahead and type in whatever sentence, whatever response they have for that particular question. And once they're done that, they can hit that submit button. And that's basically a very short, usually formative assessment for the teacher to see what people are thinking right away with this feature, the ask feature. Scrolling down, then we see the announcements, and we're going to keep scrolling past the announcement, and then we see the assignment and what students can do. They have an open button in the top right corner, and they will see first if there's any links, and we will see that if we did give them individual files, then the file for them is going to be created with their name. They can then go ahead and click on that link, and then from there they'll be able to fill out the Google Doc and answer whatever questions that they want on there. This is great for in English if you have an article that they first read and then questions for them to answer. giving them each that individual page. There is a turn in button in the top right corner for students to turn in that assignment once they're done. It then gives them the option to turn in their work, and then they can go ahead and hit turn in. Now they're going to have the green check mark saying that they're done, and they do still have an option to unsubmit that file. If they unsubmit that file, they do get that file back and they can keep working on it. One of the features that Google Classroom lacks is the ability to disable this unsubmit, so unfortunately they always get to do that. They can also add additional files, including additional docs and slides, and if you want them to write their response in a Google Doc, it is better to use this add menu, because then it will once again create that particular file with their student name on it, and it will have the turn in button in Google Docs. If they create the Google Docs file from Docs or Drive, it will not have that same turn in button in the top right corner to make it easier for them to submit their file after it's done. It's not impossible, they just need to create the file first and under add then go to Drive to find their file. Then they can go ahead and turn in all their files again, and once again that assignment will be done. If they unsubmit after due date and resubmit, the resubmitted file will now be considered late. Going back to the stream, if I continue to scroll down as a student, then I can see all the different assignments that I have done and which ones are not done directly from the stream. I'll still be able to see the file that is due tomorrow on the left sidebar, so if I can just at a glance see what assignments I have right away. In the About section, all that about information that we gave for the class information, and once again the syllabus the students will have access to. They may not know about this About section, so be sure that in your classroom that you showcase the About section and the files that you've placed there. On the students view, they will also have a folder of classroom and their class file, and they'll see their assignments submitted in that folder. As well as in Google Calendar, they will see that calendar for the classroom, and you'll notice in their Thursday, that's when the assignment's due. They don't see it in the My Calendar, they see it under other calendars because they don't have the ability to edit that calendar. And there we see that the assignment is there in their Google Calendar, and even links to that particular assignment in Google Classroom, so they can get to that assignment in Google Calendar, in Google Classroom, and later on we'll show that they also can get there through Gmail. Back in the teacher view, we want to show how teachers can then see how their students are doing on their assessments. So we see we're back in our teacher account, and we can see that the student has answered the question, as well as that they have finished the Google Classroom assignment. If I click on the title, then I can see a list of all the students as well as the work that they have submitted and that it is done. Furthermore, then I can go ahead and click on their files and then open up their files and then either make changes, make comments, do basically whatever I want because they are temporarily owned by the teacher. So I could make whatever changes that I want to make, and then when I return the assignment, then the ownership goes back to the student. In this particular view, I can also assign it a grade. There is a point scale that is given to each assignment. It defaults to 100, but you can choose from its pre-selected ones, or you can go ahead and change it to a specific number value. There are no letter values, so if you have a system that's like A, B, C, D, you may choose to go A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and 4 is D in order to accommodate that. I can then go ahead and assign it a value, so this student did great, they did 10 out of 10. Then I can go ahead and hit done, and then once I have the option to assign, I can then return that particular assignment to that student. There's also an option to email the students, but when I hit return, they will get a notification that the assignment is marked and return them to them, and they can see what they got in their Gmail or in Google Classroom. If I go back up to the discussion, I can then click on the title of discussion. It's basically the exact same view, except instead of assignments, I can see a list of all the students' responses in the right content area, and then the list of all the students in the left. I can technically also grade these as well, but if these are just quick questions, then I really don't see too much of a need for it. In the question section, if I need to ever edit the question after, I can do that. And there's also a similar section for assignments once those assignments have been published to the students. From the student view, I also just want to show in Gmail that the students will get an email of every single time you publish something in Google Classroom. So everything from welcoming them to the new assignment to the new question and the announcement, it all is there. So just note that whenever you are doing any posting in Google Classroom, students will see it immediately, and that email doesn't change even if you change the announcement assignment afterwards. So just be cautious when you assign, they will get an email. In the assignment, it will have a new icon saying that it's returned, and they can click on that assignment and see what they got out of the assigned value in Google Classroom. And that is a brief overview of the different functions found within Google Classroom. Hi everyone, thanks again for watching this video. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And go ahead and leave a comment down below if you have any additional questions or comments. Furthermore, check out some of our related videos or find us in our social media. If you would like email notifications of whenever we release new video or written tutorials, you can go to our webpage technerdservices.com and sign up for our weekly newsletter. We will send to your inbox notifications of those new video and tutorials. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, keep teching on.